Hey, Austin. I actually didn't give you your tab sheet. We were busy transacting. But I thought I would just bang out your video here real quick before I leave the office and give you something to work on right off. Yeah, so we did some note name memorization. I've included the how to hold the guitar video. And for you specifically, you've been angling it like this, which is a very natural inclination, creating this off to the side thumb weird situation where it'll be easier to spend extra time getting set up, not starting in your normal positioning, but just starting from square one and spending 5 seconds getting both hands settled. Doing it that way pretty quickly, that split second you're taking will become more and more insignificant until you don't have to process it that way anymore. What's the difference? Not starting with your normal technique, but starting right into a mindful moment of I'm going to hold my guitar thusly and not at this angle. That's been, thumb here and so forth, like we discussed. But the short version, it's all on your video, but we just hang our thumb here, giving us not just one joint, but two joints. This joint I can bend out in front. We learned some note names. We decided we were going to know that this is G and C and A and D, and then you were going to give yourself a pop quiz on that, making sure to randomize the order you thought about them in as needed, doing that as section one, and then adding B and E as an add-on. You could probably do all 6 of them at once, but if we imagine there being 10 of them or something, it would be more important to do them in small groups, and we don't want any trace of I'll know that's B because this is A. We're just assigning names to dots. The analogy we used was 4 friends walk in, etc. Cool. And what we see then is that all of our common bar chord shapes are some version of an E chord, which if I did it with the wrong fingers and then barred behind it, right now I'm playing the chord G, or G major. If I want to make that a minor chord, just make my human capo into that. And here we got our finger up a little higher than what is intuitive. This chord in particular, the minor bar chord, is good for getting oneself into classical thumb position. It was the easiest one for you. When you're doing this, also try without changing your hand position whatsoever and check your angle. That you just go all 4 fingers on the bass string where your pinky does just boom, 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 boom. It doesn't matter if they're coming in like this, they can be flopped down. But just establishing, look, here's how my hand is shaped. And when I'm in this position, it accommodates that. Awesome. So those chords we just discussed are E-shaped chords, where the root note, the bass note, is on the 6th string, and we play every string. The other grouping are A chords. And even though when we're playing A or A minor, if we hit the E string, it sounds okay, because it's actually a chord tone. That's E right there. So going never sounds that bad, but it's kind of like, since they're in the same octave in both low notes, I know I could just say when we're playing A, we hit 5 strings like when we're playing C, but it might be worth bringing up that that's E right there, so it can be a little confusing. But yeah, so there we go. And that becomes this one, but I'm playing D, that you're really not going to have any trouble with. If I was holding the guitar like this and had my, playing with thumb over top for bar chords is never our intention. So before you try this one, maybe do the E minor shape at the same fret, and then switch to now I'm doing this. Because then rather than wrestling your normal technique into it, you'll just already be in a good position. But either way, we've got A major and A minor. So now this is the note D. I'm going D major, and that one's harder than all the others. And D minor like that. Just like how E and A minor are the same shape. It's like major, minor. And what we meant by landmarks is that if you know this is A, finding A flat is going to be no big deal. And there's only so many instances of going A flat before you just wake up one day knowing that the 4th fret is A flat on the 6th string, and that's what we mean by landmarks. But those little conversions are basically instantaneous anyhow. Awesome. Hey, we got a right hand. Here's what we don't do. Here's what we do. Got my thumb extended down the string such that my fingers curl up, allowing for, so what you've been doing here has locked you into the types of things that you've been doing. I'm going to recommend you not lean your pinky there, but maybe, just be cool with this. But that said, kind of moving I'm not literally leaning my hand to you, but I'm getting some, just like my whole thumb is on that string. That's why I'm stabilizing. While we're at it, reminder that, let's hold the guitar at the correct angle and let's hold it just boom, humorous, what's up? That's how the guitar stays in place. We've got a teetering where not that happens, but this happens, or I could just chill out, and eventually that's gonna happen, but nonetheless not so far over that it's just a foregone conclusion. It's gonna go that way. And a lot of the guitar ending up like this has been as a result of steadying it out front, which then leads to this, and then having to pull it back towards your body, leading to your thumb being up all high, etc. And yeah, we really only have two thumb positions, classical, like for I'm doing stuff that has big old reaches in it, or bar chords. And then clutch, which is thumb over top, which is, we just were like, dun, 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 and then do that flush with the whole instrument, just hooking this one knuckle over the top, such that we're still pretty far out in front of the fretboard. And you might try your Radiohead song in more of that position and not using your pinky, but your ring finger. But also, that song's probably just intended to be played in classical position with all the... So it's like there's enough riffs that come up where you'll need your pinky for not just 2 frets away, but 3 frets away, that we want to move you towards using, your ring finger. I mean, index ring is like the guitar fingering, so using your pinky there should not be intuitive for on any particular string. And then, one of the things we were gonna do is, feel free to pause the video at any point, and I'm not implying watch this whole video. Our entire process is implying you're pausing the video and going through these things, and then hitting play again, finishing as you go in little sections, which is our approach. Great, so onward. I don't think the Radiohead song that you played today was the best candidate for flat picking or trying to readapt it for correct finger style technique. But if you think of anything where we're playing, the most common position would be these 3 fingers are on strings 1, 2, and 3, and then our thumb playing the other strings. It's not to say we don't do other stuff, but just a lot of fingerstyle guitar music is played like that. This position is second most common, that being the scoop here is 1 strings 2, 3, and 4. Thumb here. But yeah, this functions as a unit. It doesn't ever, we're not going to play like this at all, where you're playing like your ring finger on the first string, but strings 6, 5, 4. These 3 are always going to be on adjacent strings, and I know you haven't been using your ring finger, but it's useful, like if you wanted to hit 4 strings at the same time. Our fingerstyle technique has us with our fingers curled up, with small range of motion, and playing a chord like D, where you're just playing on 4 strings, forces the issue of your thumb and index being able to move independently of each other as well as strike at the same time. So I mean, you could get just going like, even though that's REM Everybody Hurts, or just any kind of not letting yourself revert back to that. But you could literally play with Everybody Hurts. The dry, annoying suggestion that we can do it. That would be D. And we're just trying to hover right there. Then we switch to G. The only thing that changes is that our thumb will move to the 6th string. It'll be the same thing otherwise. either of these G's are. So, and, back here, it just doesn't really, this song's slow enough where it would be possible. But yeah, so try different combinations also of thumb plus other finger, like pinch, thumb and middle, thumb and ring. And your ring finger is going to feel the weakest. So you don't need to see it to move it. You can just spend some time going, I have a ring finger. But yeah, go ahead and just mess around with anything. It's all good. And think about anything from the history of recorded music that you thought sounded cool, because we could pretty much try playing it now. I was gonna maybe give you a scale to work on as well, but I think let's just start with that batch of information right there. And certain songs that maybe you haven't played for a while would be better candidates for, I'm going to try to apply this new technique to songs I've played in the past, versus future lessons where we're working out something that you haven't done before. But you could also just get used to the range of motion and be playing random notes, just getting used to using your fingers. That would probably be the best project, because you're consciously interacting with it. You're not trying to make it sound like the song, whatever the song would be in this instance. Pretty sure that's everything we covered. So while we're at it, now all of your power chords, however you're doing them, you'll be able to know what chord it is. Like this is G, that's a G power chord, this is a G sharp power chord, and so on. So, hey, what are the chords to that Radiohead song? What are the power chords? This whole thing you were doing, that's your other assignment. And this just goes back to knowing G and C, A and D, B and E is the entire knowledge base that we're drawing from. Wonderful, man. Great meeting you, and we are confirmed for 2 weeks out. On the 14th, 4 p.m. So I didn't give you your page here. I'm going to leave it on the table in this room, which if it's before 5 p.m., you can just walk in here and grab. So yeah, I'll just leave that chilling in the room here. Though I guess you probably wouldn't need it in theory. That said, if you didn't grab it, we talked about our, conscious interaction, finish as we go process, the learn the dance steps / map out what I'm going to do, have a conscious myopic interaction with section 1, where we don't necessarily play in rhythm, and then switching to our playing headspace, which is now we're dancing. Okay, I went over what I'm going to do. Now I'm just going to try it. It's a feel thing. We work from a different part of our brain, staying out of what we referred to as the guessing headspace, which comes from not quite doing enough reps of section 1 before moving on to section 2, or always starting at the beginning. So I know you get it, man. So psyched. We're going to just crack guitar wide open for you and see if we can't troubleshoot some of this physiological injury business also. I will see you in a couple weeks. Take care, enjoy, and definitely bring in some songs. Anything ever is on the menu.